Today is the day. It's finally happening. We're starting the shop build. The foundation is laid, the brackets are in. I've got all the lumber stacked over there, all the tin, metal, sheet metal, whatever, over there. Today I've got my dad helping, he's right there. And then a friend of ours, a family member of ours, his name is Anson, he's gonna be around as well. First thing we're gonna do is the story pole for each of the columns. Start standing them up, putting girts on. I'm excited. Join me. Oh, check out these new safety glasses. Safety first. Okay, first we're gonna start with our story pole. I've done the math to get all the numbers that I need. My girts are gonna be 30 3/4 on center, apart from each other. And so, first one is at 28, 58 3/4, 89.5, 120 1/4, 42, 44, 12 feet exactly. That's where the truss sits. 155 3/8. So most of those are girts. The 155 3/8 is actually the very top. So I'm gonna mark that all the way across like this. And Dad has come back and said this is a 2x6, 2x6. The top girt is a 2x4. This is where the truss goes. And then this is the very top of the column and then where it gets cut at the correct side. And then this is, I would say, I'm calling it a double check because that's as high as the back of the column. If this was the column, it would be this direction, but it would only go this far. That's not true. Ignore this. It's wrong. He thinks it's funny. Maybe I should mic him. Should I mic him? Okay, so we have the bottom of the post, the column, bottom of the column. And let's call this the outside. So then we just put our story pole on here. And this is where it gets interesting with the rest of all those marks that I made. What's up guys? I'm out here at my shop. It's really dark out here and there's a reason for that. I've got this little Bosch laser level. I'm checking the height of all my column brackets that are wet set. So you see I have a bunch of boards here. They're all different thicknesses, so I just need to rearrange those until I get that column bracket right where it needs to be, and then I would say that is set grade, and then all the rest of them I'll measure with a tape measure, and right on the bracket, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, 1/2 inch, whatever it is, difference. So in this case, this is a 1/4 inch higher. As the mark is right at the 1/4 inch mark, I'm gonna call this a 1/4 inch. So that's how you do it. I would just keep going all the way around on my 23 and go from there. But we're gonna call this one a 0. And we're gonna name number 1, which we probably need to write those too. But let's mark it first and then we'll get to that point. That looks good. So we just mark 1 girt, 2 girts, 3 girts, 4. Top 2x4, but then there's the truss part. So that's what needs to be notched in the middle. And then the cut line. I'm gonna put a T where it says truss. So that, when we get this center line out, that's where you cut that board. So technically this column is marked. Now we lay it on the side, because this is the front now, we know that. And truss, that's good. The cut line is there, but then what we want to do is get that 412, just like that. Cut here. But then you'll need to do it on the other side too. There we go. So those ears, they could be cut straight across, but in this case, because why not? Let's just cut it at the 412 and it should line up exactly where that purlin sits. That'll go right in between this notch. Yeah, if there is one, yeah. Yep, that's a good call. You didn't hear that, but in this case, we're gonna put all of the, if there's an inner piece that's one way or the other, we're always gonna put it on the outside so that they all line up more straight versus having a little bit of a bow when you're looking down the building. Okay, so let's get that center notch out of there, cut that square, because that's what the truss sits inside of, and then cut the ears off the top of the column, and then this column will be done. Oh, label it. Number 1. I'm calling this number 1. I'm gonna label that right down here.
You better label it over there.
Number 1. First column, number 1. There's no rhyme or reason to this at all, but I'm gonna call this column number 1. Ooh, extra leverage. Pro tip. This just slides out now. So the truss. See where I have a marked T for truss? That's where I'm gonna make a line, and I need this to be as square as possible because this is where the truss sits right inside. Like butter. So I have that center notch cut. Now I'm gonna cut these ears. I sure hope we did this right. That would suck, huh? Inside, that's our mark. Double check that that's 144 inches right to that spot. Right on the money. One column done. Yay! 20 to go. All right, so we've got 2 columns here. There's one that Dad's got going. He's measuring and cutting the columns. We're figuring out the girts, and we're gonna start standing them up soon. We've pre-marked these. Those are a little bit shorter just because they go into a corner and they don't overlap with the corner. But these are all 8 feet sections so that they should be perfectly on center with these columns here. Yeah, like right there looks pretty good. Put one screw in, then recheck level before you put the next screw in. Pro tip. Thanks, Anson. Yeah, it's like we know what we're doing indeed. I mean, you telling me if that's gonna fall over.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That is solid. Also, wow, how did it get so tall? After a wonderful lunch break at my favorite Midwest location, Runza, not a sponsor, it's time to get back to work. We got one ready to stand up. The next one's ready to stand up as well. Dad's working on this corner piece over here, and the column over in that corner is done as well. What we're gonna do first is get this corner over here, stand it up and screw it in with those girts that are already in place. See what that looks like as far as how strong that is, just one screw each before we nail it. And then start rounding the corner to this wall, and then I feel like that'll really sure up things as well. Wonder if we could just slide a few out. So this is just set there, floating right now. We don't have a bracket on it, and I don't think we're gonna put a bracket on it for a little bit. We're gonna start putting these 20-foot girts on, which go span these two 10-foot sections. We've got screws in already to just set our board on, and then we'll go from there. These look super straight. Like that?
Sure.
Like a man. Oh, I guess you are. Like it?
Happy if you're happy.
I'm happy if you're happy. Needs to go that way? Yep, right there actually. A little bit more. A little bit more. Right there. Can you hold it?
Yep.
Okay. Like that?
Yeah.
I like that. All right, guys, this is the last side that we're gonna get to today, but this has been a great day. One, I'm very excited of how far we are. So let's get the rest of these 3 girts on this end wall and call it a day. Pew, 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 pew. Day 2. We're gonna start on this end wall here. Gonna get it all stood up, get the 2 corner pieces, and then just keep working our way around to the front. I think by lunch, we're gonna have all of these columns up and girts attached to them. 3 hours. Okay, probably not, but let's get going. That's not what I say. Let's get started. Hardware. Dad's working on the last 5 columns, and then we're gonna get those stood up, and then that's it. Anson's working on getting the girt boards cut for the end wall. We didn't do anything to these end wall columns, so I'm just gonna screw this board in between in for now, and if I need to take it out later and add to get to the top of the truss, I can. But I didn't wanna do the math right now. So we're sanding these all up. There's 4 5/16 lag bolts that go in each one of these in the bracket. Eventually there's like a huge 1/2-inch bolt that will go through top and bottom of the bracket. But for now we're just gonna leave them with the lags, and they are not going anywhere. So until we get all the girts on, then we'll start going around and drilling those through bolts. You gonna lift that one up by yourself? It's a beast. Probably don't want to do them all though. That would be tiring. go. That's looking pretty awesome. All right, next up on this project, we've got the grade board on the outside. So it'll be our very bottom girt, and that, because it's at the bottom, obviously it's treated. This is CCA treated lumber. That's what they recommend, and their 2x10s is what I chose to do on these grade boards here. Whew, that is a heavy board. 2x10 by 20 feet. This is where it gets interesting on the grade boards. Remember all those numbers that I put on the brackets early on in the process? So that line right there is going to be where the bottom of my grade board sits, so that it's level all the way around the building. These three, this one, that one, and then the next one down there, are all labeled 0. That means basically the grade board goes to the bottom of the column, or what would be the bottom of this bracket here up on the 1/4 inch piece of the bracket. So not on this concrete, but the bottom of this column is where the grade board goes. So when I was going around all of the columns to figure out where all the grade board lands on the bottom and make sure that that's prominent, I noticed that I made a mistake on this pole. The number here is 13/16, and I probably marked it as 3/16, because that's what it looks like on the column on the bottom, which you can't see, but it's down there. And so I checked level on these girts, and it's definitely down. 13/16 is like almost an inch. 3/16 is barely anything. It's not even a 1/4 inch. So there's a big difference, and so I need to cut all these nails off and move them up. So I'll probably cut the nails on a few and then get my story pole back in here and remark based on the 13/16 that it is. So that's what I'm going to do now. Hopefully it goes easy. I mean, these nails are 3-inch ring shank nails, so I have no problem probably cutting them, but getting them pried apart to where I can get in there and cut it, that might be a different story. We'll see. But mistakes were made. We'll fix them. No big deal. Pro tip, use a wedge to put it right where you want it to. I can go your way. 1/4 inch. This 20-foot board is definitely thinner than the other one, so it looks bad, but that's what it is. Ready for nails! All right, grade board done. On to the next thing. Which is, I'm not sure yet. But stay tuned. Never know when you'll need a wedge.